Transfer rumours, it is everybody's favourite part of the summer, where every single club is relentlessly linked with every single player in every single position they need. But today we whittle it down. We go through two or three ideal signings for each of our clubs. We talk business so far, and we also talk realistic signings that we actually need. Roll that intro. Hello and welcome to the Lost in Possession podcast. First things first, please hit that subscribe button. Do us a favor. It takes 2 seconds and it helps us and that beautiful algorithm. Thank you. Now, let's get going. As I said in the intro, today is all about transfer business, transfer rumors, and transfer targets. We are going to start with our three clubs. So we've got Chelsea, we've got Arsenal, and Man City. Let us know your thoughts in the comments as well, but we will try and cover as much as we possibly can. Let's begin with probably the busiest club in the window so far in terms of signings in, let's say. Reese, we'll come to you. Arsenal, I think many Arsenal fans would have said Declan Rice was the prime target. You've locked up Rice. You've got Havertz. You've got Timber. You must be pretty happy with Arsenal's business so far.
Yes. I mean, Rice hasn't been confirmed yet because there's lawyers, and Timber hasn't been confirmed yet. But Havertz coming in so far, I think was a surprise to most of us. If the other two get over the line, you could probably say is our transfer business done already. But according to sources, it doesn't look like it is. So yeah, got to be very happy. Rice was the target. It looked like we were going to lose Rice to Man City. That never happened. Rice was sold on the project to Arsenal. That's an exciting sign. We're improving the side. We're not adding depth. We're getting players that can challenge starting players. Rice is coming in. So Partey will now have to drop to the bench. It's a great way to be. It's a great position to be in. And yeah, let's hope that more come in.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think that's a very good point. A lot of clubs will tend to make signings that deepen their squad. And it seems that you're doing both in the sense that you're actually challenging current starters, which I think is key. I guess, Jamie, before we talk Man City, obviously Rice you were briefly linked with. In hindsight, it feels a bit more of a clever little tactic to just basically get Arsenal to pay 10 more mil. Are you gutted you lost him, or does it not really matter?
He's not the type of player we need as such. Like he's a very good player. Like it's like the ridiculous thing on TalkSport, where they said Arteta called up Pep, said, "Can you put in a bid to make our owners do it?" That's complete rubbish. City probably wanted him. City wanted him, not probably wanted him. But they have their limits, and it's happened time and time again where City will go, "Here's our number. If someone goes over that or they want more than that, we're happy to walk away and we'll go for other targets." To be honest, I think it was a bit of a reaction move because I think they were surprised that Gundogan left. So that's where I think it is really. But I think it's a good signing for Arsenal, and I think you've said it before, Reese, where transfer windows sometimes can look good but actually are pointless when you're not improving the starting 11. And as we've seen, Arsenal's starting 11 last season wasn't good enough to win the title, so they need to improve it. So that's what they're doing, and to be honest, they're currently winning the window, and I don't think anyone can really dispute that at the moment.
Yeah, I think that's valid. I mean, let's break it down quickly. Obviously, we won't spend too long on what's happened so far, but Havertz. Now, obviously, I'm going to talk about Havertz. For those following us on TikTok, obviously, I've done a video on Havertz. And I guess the bottom line is, from a Chelsea perspective, he has not done enough in the Premier League or for our club that, in my opinion, justifies a 65 million pound move to Arsenal. Now, yes, he won the Champions League. I'll always love him for that moment. But Reese, what is Arteta seeing here in Havertz that justifies the price tag? Because I've not seen it in 3 years.
I think you're going to get somebody that can contribute more to the play. I think if you think at Chelsea, he had to take on a striker role, which is something he's not able to do. I think he'll have a similar role to what he had at Leverkusen. Attacking mid, maybe a playmaker, something along those lines. If you look at his stats, I think his expected goals from his shots is quite decent. But they'll expect to improve that. If you look at the players he's going to have alongside him, and Saka, Martinelli, he's going to have Gabriel Jesus, who he can work with. He's quite an intelligent player. Seems to make the right decision, get in the right spaces. So probably tactically, he's probably in a better squad for him. But yeah, I still think it's a strange one. I think the argument is to bring him in because he's somebody with experience and has played in the Premier League. Seems to get you a goal when you want a goal, which is something I don't think we're capable of without someone like that.
Really? Sorry,
in terms of nicking.
I don't think he is. When Chelsea scored so little last season and wanted a goal so many times.
Yeah, but you could say you need a forward. He's not playing that role. I think we need more goals like that, not as a centre forward role.
No, but I just don't think he's sort of that clutch moment guy. He has done clutch goal, but
I don't think he is. I think Odegaard is that kind of guy, but I think he's going to add a different dimension to our midfield. I think it's going to ease the pressure on him knowing that Odegaard is there. Like I said, he's not going to be playing centre forward. He's not going to be playing a false nine. So he's going to have a little bit more freedom for him and less pressure. I do think he's going to help us overall with our goals. He's not going to get 10 goals a season, but I think his overall contribution to the player is going to be better.
I think I was going to say he's a clutch player. You can't I think that's one of his strengths rather than not. Like that's all he's been good for, to be completely honest. Because in the biggest of moments, he's delivered. The issue with him is he hasn't delivered consistently, and that's been the frustration. Because you can see a guy who is so technically gifted and so good, but he just doesn't work. He doesn't press. He doesn't work, and he's not been in the 3-year spell. He's not had a consistent run. That's the issue.
Weirdly, I actually see his role is going to be a bit like City with David Silva when we had David Silva and De Bruyne. So I think Odegaard will play the De Bruyne role, and he'll play the Silva role. Where he'll be in the left channel with the Martinelli sort of side of things and Odegaard on the right. I think that's the way it is. It might be switched around, but that's how I see it sort of fitting in. It not being a striker, so I do feel like that will benefit him more. I just don't see what Arsenal saw 65 million though.
No,
that's the bit I find baffling. And if you went at the start of the summer before there was any rumours, no one would have. I don't think anyone would go, you know what? Let's try and sign Havertz.
No, I think 65 million was a lot. I would argue as well, though, who would we get as a ready-made Premier League player? For that, probably wouldn't get anyone else. I think he has a good mentality. I think that's one key thing for him. I think he scored in the Champions League final, but I think he can cope with pressure a little bit more than what some of those players can. So I think he'll be a much calmer head if things are starting to go a bit wrong or the pressure's on them. And I think he brings that experience to the team.
Well, yeah, I guess that's a fair point. Champions League winner at the end of the day, you can, that's more than most Arsenal players will be able to say. So you could make that case that it is a bit more of top level experience, maybe. But I've made my prediction very clear. I don't see it. I think he might thrive better in the midfield, but he's not going to do the same that he did at Leverkusen because it's a different level. But we'll see. Let's move on to Man City. Jamie, again, not much gone on in terms of incomings. How would you rate your business both ways so far?
Well, effectively, we've got weaker. So, but we're coming off a treble win, so there can be a big fall. So even if we are slightly worse, it's not too bad. Gundogan going was a bit of a shock, I think, to a lot of City fans. I think a lot of them just thought he's gone, you know what, I'm going to just focus on trying to win every trophy and then I'll sign a contract after. And that's what I think most City fans thought. They think there's other players that are probably leaving, he'll stay. So it's a bit of a shock to see him leave, but he couldn't have left in a better way. So there's sort of like no City fans going to hold any sort of bad feelings about him. We've brought in obviously Kovacic from yourselves. I think for what is it, 25 million roughly. I think that's a very good price for him. I think he's a very decent player. Not better than Gundogan, but once again, he's got that Premier League quality, and sort of, I would say overall, it's definitely a better transfer than Havertz at this moment in time, especially when you consider price. That in my but really at the moment, it's a bit slow going on for the rest of it. But one transfer in, sort of and there's sort of outgoings, and they're mainly sort of people have been on loan. You've seen Trafford, who obviously saved the penalty right in the last for the under-21 Euros, was it? Yeah, brilliant. Didn't concede a goal all tournament. People were calling us money fixing again just for selling him for nearly 20 million. And now people are praising Burnley for having such a great deal on someone who's conceded none in a tournament. Funny how it works like that way. But yeah, it's slow at the moment. City normally are a bit faster than this in recent years. They get their deals done early, and then they just sit back and then let Pep do Pep. But they've been a bit slower this time in bringing other transfers in.
Yeah. Let's talk Chelsea. Again, for us, as you guys have covered, it's one way at the minute. It's not even a revolving door. They just leave the door open. We said even before the summer started that Chelsea needed a massive clear out. To be fair, I said it, but I didn't actually think the clear out would be this severe. Which, for me, I don't actually mind it. Like we did need to clear. Everyone said about a third of our squad, and we basically have got rid of a third of our squad. It must have been a bit of a quiet barbecue on day one when Poch rolled up, going from 30 odd players, 32 odd players to 20. But are we letting the right players go? I think the two ones you've mentioned, I think Havertz for 65 mil. I guess to reiterate my point, I think that's phenomenal business. We paid a big fee for him. Didn't quite work out. As I said, won us the Champions League. No hard feelings. We move on. I think that's great business for us. The other ones like your Ziyech's, your Mendy's, your Aubameyangs, who are sort of coming out the door, it makes sense. Like again, they've not worked out. Players like Aubameyang and Ziyech, like
Ziyech hasn't gone, by the way.
I think
failed his medical, didn't he?
No. I think the source on that was very bad.
How was it?
And he come out doing a joke about it. So Ziyech is still going. Also another one, Pulisic, in the last week or so, going to Milan. We've lost Loftus-Cheek again. Not a bad word to say about him. I think it's the right career move. Who else? I mean, the list goes on. I think Mendy's gone.
Kovacic.
Koulibaly, yeah. Kovacic is probably the one. Yeah, Azpilicueta. Again, I've done a TikTok on him. Absolute legend. I mean, what's that?
Bakayoko. Yeah, Felix's loan has ended.
Bakayoko.
Tari's loan has ended.
Abba Rahman. He's gone today as well.
And yeah.
It's genuinely, about 12 players gone. So majority has been good business, and I think we needed to be done. But I've made my feelings clear on the ones that we shouldn't have let go. And Kovacic, until we make more midfield signings, I think doesn't make sense. And obviously Mason Mount, I've said it enough times, and everyone knows that. But you can't be letting players like that go. Like you can let players go, you can have a clear out, but you've got to make sure you're keeping the right ones. And in my opinion, Mount, Kovacic probably would have been right ones. But on the flip side, I will get into dream transfers and all of that. we have still made attacking signings. I think Jackson, I'm not even going to pretend. I don't think anyone knows anything about Jackson, if I'm being completely honest. No Chelsea fan has said anything on Jackson. So time will tell. Reece, is it some FM transfer you had a few years ago, or are you as clueless as everyone else on this one?
No, never signed him, but he does look all right, to be fair.
Yeah.
He's not a bad option. You know, he's a very United style player, so I think that'll suit Poch to the ground.
Yeah, and then finally from our side, I think Nkunku, I think in hindsight that looks phenomenal business because we bought him before he was Bundesliga top scorer. He's been absolutely crushing it for Leipzig. He looks very, very good. And I think it was around 60 million euros. And to get ahead, like if we didn't make that signing, basically, a lot of clubs would be sniffing around him now, and the fee would probably be higher than 60 mil. So I'm pretty happy with that bit of business. But enough about Chelsea and our outgoings. Let's move on. Let's talk dream transfers. So, Reece, we will bounce back to you. Arsenal, to be honest, I think Rice is up there. But outside of the players who you've signed so far, who would be a dream transfer for Arsenal right now?
I want to give a dream. I think Kylian Mbappe would be the dream. To be perfectly blunt.
If you didn't mention him, I was about to mention him.
They are his English team after all. I wouldn't. Obviously, it's just not going to happen. But he's the dream signing because he's available. But who else I would take right now?
Well, on that note, just quickly, there was an article today. Let me just read the headline. Mail Online Sport, who are obviously known for their accurate statements. Kylian Mbappe would join Arsenal if he was to move to the Premier League because of his admiration for Mikel Arteta's project. I mean, the standard for journalism is at an all-time low.
I just want to know. I know the answer, but has anyone asked Mbappe this exact question?
Lewis Browning, that's the journalist.
Hey, fuck! I'm sorry. No, they haven't. And let's be honest, if they're going to bid for him, it's completely different. Just going, it just makes no sense. Like
Mikel Arteta, who's been in management for 3 years? Is that right? Yeah. And he's excited by the project as if he's some like. Honestly,
I don't know if there was actual talks going on, and then he's discussed the whole project with him. It's slightly more believable. But this is just complete waffle, in my opinion. Mbappe probably does like Arsenal as a club. I don't know if he is his English team or not, because you've had the Thierry Henry sort of bring in there and that French sort of connection. But to just come out, it's complete. It's just complete crap for a journalist headline, and it's got tons of views and it's worked. But this is the problem we see every window. There will be some outrageous article and no one gets called for it because it gets the views.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, sorry, Reece, I'm cutting you off in your dream earnings. And I'm
that's all right.
crapping on that dream.
That is the dream move, obviously. I think, yeah, if I had my way, realistically, we need to look at a left back. I know Tierney is injured a lot, and I know that Zinchenko is more of a defensive mid, which we could probably rotate around a little bit more. So I'd like to sign DeMarco at Inter. I think he's an outstanding left back, probably one of the best left backs in the world. I think he was in the top 5 for chances created or something like that in that position. So we couldn't go wrong with someone like him. And with Inter's money troubles, I think he'd be very easy to get a hold of. I mean, he's an Inter fan, so maybe not. Centre back would seem to be covered with Timber or Ben White taking that role. Midfield were probably pretty good. On the wing, I mean, Harvey Barnes would be great, but I think he's going to Newcastle. I think we need to, look at depth or options for Gabriel Jesus. I don't think Nketiah is good enough. I don't think Balogun will be good enough. So we might as well take the money for one of them or two of them and just go.
And what about Timber? Obviously, that's as good as done. I think medical's been passed and it's near enough concluded.
Ajax have confirmed it. His brother did a post where going, "Good luck at Arsenal."
Okay.
It's confirmed as much as it can be without Arsenal going, "Here's your shirt."
Yeah, apparently they want to make a big deal of this unveiling, didn't they? I mean, Timber's a great sign. I think if I was to go back to the striker point quickly, if I had my way, I would actually try and nick Callum Wilson from Newcastle, but there's just no chance of selling him. I think he'd be a good option. Or Vlahovic at Juventus, maybe. I don't know. But yeah, back on the Timber deal. Yeah, I think it's great. Can play centre back, can play right back. I think he can even play in midfield if he needs to. I think he's a consistent performer. I think he's a good player. I don't look too much into it because he played in the Dutch league, so I'm not exactly gonna, be jumping at the bit. But I think he will accommodate well to a modern style of play. So yeah, I think he's a great addition. But as they say, the team that always wins the transfer window always tends to have a very poor season. Let's be honest. So don't count anything.
Well, any more dream signings? Anyone who's like somewhere in between realistic and not Mbappe?
Right. Okay. Trying to think who. There's so many players I like.
Lavia? He's someone linked
Yeah,
with.
I think he could be all right. I think he'd be a good player.
If Partey leaves, I think then that would be the right. But if
Yeah,
Partey
he'll be the player to fill. I can't think of anyone at the moment because there's so many players in there that I've always liked in this squad at the moment where I'd be happy. I think maybe a striker I would have loved. I'd have loved to have gone for Marcos Leonardo, the Brazilian striker, but apparently he's on his way to Lazio. So yeah, I think someone like that would have been great. I know you've probably never heard of him, but he looks to be a real player.
Okay, let's move on to Man City. We'll start with dream signings.
Weirdly, my dream signing is Bernardo Silva extending his contract. That is my dream signing. That is
not realistic.
It's realistic, but it's also he's rumored to want out for the last 2-3 years.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it is realistic in the same way. Apparently, he's got offers from PSG and the Saudis, and Barca are sniffing around, but I don't see Barca actually having the money to fork out. So that would actually be my dream signing. But then, if not, if he goes, I think there's still a hole in that centre mid, and then it'll be right wing as well. So sort of centre mids, the ones that I've seen that are available, I guess, would be the likes of De Jong at Barca, but he would be close to 100 million. Then I've seen the weird ones, which I don't believe are fully true, in like Real Madrid would get rid of either of them, would be Valverde or Temuchineni or whatever he's called. I can't pronounce it. Yeah, him. Sort of, I'd probably take him out of them two, in my opinion. But that I think they've rumoured that to say that Real Madrid need some more funds if they're going to afford the whole Mbappe deal. So that's where it could sort of happen. So I think that's what would happen in that as a dream signing. And we need a right winger. And I don't feel like there's too many about that sort of that are available that aren't going to be stupid prices. So one I'd say that's a bit more realistic would be Moussa Diaby at Leverkusen. I think he could be someone who fits in on the right wing. He probably, the only thing I do have to say against it is I don't know if he's actually going to be good enough at City. But I feel like if anyone can make someone good enough, Pep can.
I feel like Diaby's one of them where he looks fantastic in the German league, but I don't think he'd be that good in the Prem.
This is what I have, but I can't really think of many right wingers who we could really bring in realistically. Really, it's more about squad depth because we have the smallest squad or used the smallest amount of players in the season last year, especially in the Prem. well, until it got to the final few games where we'd already won the league. So that's where the worrying part is the players that could go out, because the rumours of players going out is Walker to Bayern, Mahrez to the Saudi League, Bernardo Silva I mentioned, Laporte probably going. That's why we're going for Gvardiol. Then you've got Cancelo, who's fallen out with Pep. That's 5 from your squad, and it's already a small squad. So these players, some players have got to be bought, and it's hard to see because there's barely any rumours because it's Gvardiol or nothing at the moment in City transfers. So it's a bit of a weird place to be in, and I feel like we need just a bit more depth, especially when you've got to play like the Super Cup and the Club World Cup playing in this season. So that's going to be quite interesting to see. I feel like it's unusual that we don't have more rumours and more close to signings.
Yeah, to be fair, the more you're saying it, the more it does sound a bit. Obviously, it's not grim because you're on the trail. Like you're still going to be the best team in the country, but it does sound a little bit concerning. Where you're essentially, as you said, you are technically getting worse. You've got Arsenal, who are the closest team, getting better. So,
it just takes a few injuries, and that squad looks very, very, very thin.
Yeah,
that's the issue, and then it depends on who we also let out on loan from the academy. It's sort of like there's talks of Palmer, who's just had a very good under-21s tournament, who's been playing bit parts for the first team. We've got Rico Lewis, who can also come in, but then you've got
them surely.
Well, it depends how much they play. Playing every week, no, but I don't. To be fair, defensively, Enrico Lewis, I feel like he will play bits and parts of it, and that's fine. Defensively, we seem fine.
He had that run though, didn't he? He had that run in the season where he was playing. I can't remember how many games in a row. But if you look out of place,
he does have the technical ability. It's more you don't throw him in. You don't play him 30 games a season. You play him 10 to 15 at most. And they should be in the what's known as easier games. But then again, he played him away at Chelsea. I know you didn't have a great season, but
that was easy last season.
It's still not an easy game to go. It's still not meant to be an easy game to go to, and we only beat you 1-0.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, so I think he's got the quality. So it's more: are we going to just go with bring in more academy players? Because we got to. We're spending enough money on the whole academy. You've got to bring in some at some point. So we've got a few: Foden, Palmer, Lewis. So it's where we go from there. But it's more: who else do we lose from the senior players and not replace them? I think might be a mistake. One other player actually, Viega at Celta Vigo. I think he's 40 million euros release clause. Seems to know where the goal is, so he could be definitely an option for a bit more of an attacking threat than what Kovacic probably would be.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's move on to Chelsea. Obviously, a lot, as we said, a lot's gone out. Now, I'll start with the dream ones because these are just not going to happen. Obviously, Mbappe's the one that everyone wants. I think he's probably number one in the world right now. But I think for us, we're crying out for a striker. We're crying out for just a machine who can just put the ball in the back of the net. And obviously, in an alternate reality, I think our dream signing would just be Haaland. We just need a robot. Don't piss about. Don't run. Just go there, put the ball in the back of the net. Job done. Yeah, not going to happen. We missed the boat. Bloody God rest his soul, as they say. But Raiola was a little bit greedy. But if he wasn't, maybe he could have come to Chelsea. But yeah, Haaland would be the ideal. Let's move on to slightly more, realistic-ish. On the same note, I think for us, Victor Osimhen. Now, I'm putting that in the dream category because if you believe the rumours and all the news that's coming out, it's going to take a bit of a monster fee of around 150 million euros to get him out of Napoli. I think the director's come out today even saying he's going to be wearing a Napoli shirt next season. So I think it's something that could happen in 2 to 3 years, but I don't see it happening. I actually think 150 mil is too much to pay, because that's the kind of, like, he does look the complete package, but he's not been at the top level for 3, 4, 5 years. So I do think that would be just a ridiculous transfer fee. I guess moving on to more realistic transfers, I think, Jamie, you mentioned it earlier, Vlahovic, I think I've pronounced that correctly. Vlahovic at Juve feels very, very doable. He's a bit of a classic number 9. Again, doesn't particularly press and work hard for the team, but he'll put the ball in the back of the net, bottom line. And I think as well, the price tag I'm seeing is around 70, 80 mil. And obviously, Jamie, what you touched on earlier was some form of Lukaku transfer swap plus cash deal, which makes sense.
But just putting it out there, is there new manager, new owner? Is there any like comeback for Lukaku? That means you don't need a striker, because he does put the ball in the back of the net. Whether you take the mick out of his first touch or not, and all the sort of great defending he did in the Champions League final for City, he does put the ball in the back of the net most times. So that's the problem. Is it completely dead for Chelsea fans? I probably think it is, but I just want to obviously hear it from your perspective.
For me, I hate the bloke, I'll be honest. And that sentiment is shared by a lot of Chelsea fans. However, I'm willing to understand the business sense of the decision, right? As you said, he is a striker. He has been, or maybe still is, at a top level. He's physical. He's got a little bit of pace, and he has put the ball in the back of the net in the Prem, in other leagues. So having him, who we've already got on our books, would probably make more business sense than paying 80 mil for Vlahovic. I can't even say it now, but that would make more sense. Obviously, paying a stupid fee for Osimhen, it would make more sense to keep him and give him a go. Does he fit Poch's system? Maybe. I don't know. I'd say actually, I think he could.
I'd say he does.
Yeah, two pacey wingers, which we've got. A big strike. I do think it could work, but he would have to do a very heartfelt apology video, which we know he loves a tear, and he loves a video interview. But I think he would have to do a very sort of, what's the word?
We can ask Mount for pointers. He's done some great videos recently.
I don't think that would work. I don't think that would work very well. You don't want that. That was from the heart. I think he could do a big apology video. I think a lot of the fans would buy it and give him another chance. If he starts scoring, we'll all love him. If he doesn't, he'll be public enemy number 1. So yeah, worst case, if we don't get these transfer targets, we don't get another striker, I wouldn't be completely against it. But he's got a lot of work to do to prove the fans and turn them back on side.
This is it at the end of the day, right? It doesn't matter, if he's, whatever it is, how many players from unforgivable positions have come back, and if they score a goal, they save a penalty, all is forgiven. At the end of the day, that's just how football works. We're willing to put things aside for the sake of glory. That's just how it works.
Yeah, I think Jack as well. Sorry to cut you off. Jack is a prime example. Middle fingers at the crowd, couldn't be worse. Comes back, good message, fights for the team, and now he's loved. So it's not unthinkable.
Exactly, and there's even more controversial evidences of that, isn't there? At the end of the day, football fans can say what they want, but they don't actually care as long as they're successful. So I think for now they're probably better off keeping him with the players they've got around him. I think Vlahovic is a good player and it working a swap deal, but his heart seems to be on Inter Milan, Lukaku. So
yeah,
I suppose maybe it's either there or bust. But with the players you've got coming back from loan, it doesn't matter if you don't do any more business. You've got, Sarr coming back. You've got Andre Santos in midfield. It's really not the end of the world.
We've got Broza coming back from injury. Don't know how he's going to be, though.
Yeah.
That's a bit... The ones that I've seen you've been rumoured with is, was it Balogun from Arsenal? but they want 50 million. I don't think that's a great deal. And then the other one is Wahai in I can't remember what club it is. It's in League. Say that again, Reese.
Montpellier, the guy who scored 4 goals in one game, right?
Yeah, yeah. So he's got what 19 in 33. He's 20. It's looking like around a 30 million euro fee. So it's worth the risk. But then is it just another Jackson? And then you've got two of them.
This is the problem.
I don't think Chelsea can go for that big signing. I just don't see it. I don't know if it's financial or not. I just don't see who you'd actually bring in unless it was Mbappe or Osimhen. Other than that, I don't see who you bring in. So I think you've got to go with a Jackson, possibly with this Wahahi. If you have both, then if one flops, one does well.
Yeah,
you've got one striker for 60 million who's banging them in.
Yeah,
so it
takes the pressure off as well.
Yeah, exactly. So they're the ones I think possibly.
I think as well, I've not really even touched on the midfield. I think at the minute, because of the number of outgoings, I do think we need to strengthen the midfield. The one we absolutely need to get done is obviously Caicedo. Kante region, in my opinion, been phenomenal for Brighton. And I do think he has world-class potential as a ceiling. And then finally, I'll chuck one more rogue one out there. Well, not even that rogue, but in the midfield, Mateus Nunes for Wolves. This guy is an absolute baller. I've watched him live. He's unreal. He can attack. He scored a screamer against us last season. He can defend. He's got pace. He's got skill. He's got it all. So that's him and Caicedo. I'd be pretty happy in the midfield. I've not seen any links with Nunes. That's just my prediction. But
More of an attacking midfielder, though, isn't he?
Yeah, but he can recover. His recovery runs are really good as well. So yeah, Nunes. If anyone's listening at Chelsea, get it done. But that's pretty much it. That is us out for time. I can't speak today. That is us out of time for another edition. As always, let us know your thoughts in the comments. Like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.